Hello, friends. This is William, Believe Unlimited, and today we're going to talk about controlling your children. And it's really simple how to control your children. It's just like controlling anyone else in your life. You essentially can't. Essentially, the only thing we do have control is how we feel, how we think, and how we act upon how we feel and how we think. We really don't have much else that's in our control. But I've heard it said many times that your children will become an expression of yourself because they see an example of who you are and they will emulate that. And I find that that's a semi-true statement. I believe that they see someone with good integrity and good person. Your children may choose to emulate that. They may choose not to. And the interesting part is that the choice is the important part. We set the best example we possibly can, recognizing that most of us haven't been parents prior to having our children. Wait, no, that would be all of us have never had experience being a parent before we had our children. So it's a learning curve, the same as it is a learning curve for the children. And children love to push boundaries. And the reason they love to push boundaries is because they don't know what the boundaries are. Therefore, they want to figure out what the boundaries are. And when we're setting good boundaries and we're setting good parameters of what is appropriate and what may be inappropriate behavior for each of us, our children learn that. They learn where those boundaries are. And then they get to choose where they want to set that boundary. And we have no control over what their choices are. All we can do is do the best we can to give into them, to feed into them, to do the best that we can. And from my experience and my experience of talking with many, many people who have tremendous children, who have troubled children, the problem is not the parenting or the parenting style. The problem is there are so many variables that go into it. There's variables on how you raise them is perceived by them based upon what they experienced. And they all set their own ideals and they all come through the experience. And I have 4 children, 31 to 24 right now. And at one time there was they were 4 teenagers. And every one of them so unique and so different. And it's such an amazing experience. The truth of it is my parenting style worked with each one of them. Sometimes it didn't work with each one of them sometimes. And I guess the biggest thing that I think I did was to give them an opportunity to disagree with what I'm doing and ask their forgiveness, because I've never done this before. I had never parented 4 teenagers. I had never parented 1 teenager prior to having the 4. Now, as they each turned teenager, I guess you could say I had some experience in it, but I've never lived their life. I haven't lived what they grew up with, the experiences they had with doctors and teachers and what have you, the other parent, the mom, the dad. What they experience is completely unique. I've never lived what they live. And I had to give them the understanding, give my understanding to them that it was okay for them to be different. And it was okay for them to have their own thoughts and desires. And I still had rules in the house, and they, they had a bedtime and they had this. It wasn't a freelance run amok kind of situation, but I learned so much teaching my children because they taught me so much. So I've also heard it said that you raise up a child in the way it should go, and he will not depart from it when he gets old. And there's truth in that as well. The only thing is maybe they're not old yet, and maybe they have departed, and maybe they are doing a little bit of crazy stuff. But I always had faith and belief that my children could figure it out for themselves with the guidance when they asked. And forcing my opinion on my children never worked. But when I gave them a perspective and shared my view of a situation with them, they were able to make a decision with new information now. And whatever that choice was, it's their decision, their consequences, their benefits, and they owned it. And that's what I wanted. See, if I could teach my children how to think critically for themselves and to look at things, I win. If I have to tell them what time to go to bed and tell them what they can eat and tell them they can't do this and they can't do that and they can't, then I got to watch out for them 24/7. I had to release the control and let them be who they are, and then give them guiding information. Not tell them what to do, but guide them and help them to be the best them that they are. And that's actually the trick on how to control your children, is you control them by giving them the power to make their own choices. And then it's not up to me anymore. It's up to them. And they did not come into this world to live for me. They did not come in to perform for me as the parent. They came to live their life, and this is their life. And I want to give them the most opportunity to find their own self and who they really are and what they really want to be in this life. And I don't mean a doctor or a lawyer. I mean what they want to be. Do they want to be honest and with integrity and kind and giving? Is that what they want to be? Or do they want to be a taker and a manipulator and whatever they want for their experience? I give them options and let them choose. Then they can't blame me. And they own it themselves because they've made the choice. And it's not a perfect system. And nobody does everything right, including me, including you. You cannot be responsible for your children's actions. We all contribute to the learning curve of our children, but we are not the only thing that's happening in that child. We're not the only thing that's happening in this world. And the influences and the information that they get will make a path available for them, and they will choose. And that is the greatest blessing. They're awesome individuals. You're awesome. We all have awesomeness in us. And it's about helping each one of us to know that when we live true to ourselves and we are being awesome, that's the right place for where we're at. And that's what I believe, and that's how I've raised my children. In my opinion, they're fabulous kids. If I'm really fair, they're probably really great people. I don't know how fabulous they are. I just think they're amazing, but I think they're just great people. And I hope you find the place where you know whatever your kids are at, whatever they're doing, it's not your fault. It's not your conditioning. It's what each individual child chooses to do with what they've experienced, just like all of us. So release the control, release the fun, and have fun with your being and your having these children. Enjoy it. It's a short time. And then when you get to watch them grow up to be adults and take on their own responsibilities, it gets really fun. So I want you to remember, you are awesome. So you stay awesome. And we'll catch you next time.